Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Talking Tennis stream. This time we are talking all things Roland Garros doubles, and what better person to do that with it than doubles specialist from the tennis tribe, Will Buchek. Will, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Nice to speak to you. I guess we're going to break it down into the different categories. You've got men's doubles, women's doubles, mixed doubles. Just as an overall, how did you view the doubles at Roland Garros this year?
I thought it was super exciting. I mean, clay court doubles, I guess similar to singles, right? A lot of people are huge fans of the surface because I guess some of the rallies are a little bit more extended. There's a few less missed returns. So some of the points are a little bit longer. And yeah, I watched the majority of the latter half of the tournament, especially from the quarterfinals on, and thought a lot of the matches were just really high quality, really exciting. Yeah, and let's get started. Let's dive into one of the draws here.
Yeah, so I was just going to kick things off with the men's doubles tournament, which was won by Marcelo Arevalo and Mate Pavic. This is Arevalo's second Roland Garros title, and Pavic is now his first Roland Garros title to complete the calendar slam, which I think even more impressively, his calendar slam is with 4 different partners. I mean,
Yeah.
how impressive a feat is that to do for Pavic?
Yeah, and he actually only has one of each. So it's not like he, had 3 Wimbledons and 2 US Opens, 1 Aussie, and he's waiting for that French. He had one of each. So this was his 4th men's uh, Grand Slam title. He has 3 in mixed as well. Ironically, Roland Garros is the one mixed title he does not have. But yeah, with 4 different partners, I mean, it's unbelievable. They had um, I would say relatively kind of slow start to the year. I would bet if you asked them after Miami as we transitioned into the clay season, I bet they would be slightly disappointed for their year. And then they just really kind of went on a tear, especially the latter half of the clay season. They won Geneva the week before Roland Garros. They made the finals in Rome, losing to the top seeds, Granollers and Zeballos. They made the semis in Barcelona and Monte Carlo, I believe. So they had a really strong clay court season. And I think for Pavic, Arevalo is a great clay court player, as we know. He won Roland Garros in 2022. So it was kind of a good pairing for him to get that 4th Grand Slam that he hadn't had yet to this point.
Yes, and you mentioned that Rome final with Granollers and Zeballos. They obviously met in the semi-finals at Roland Garros this year, with Arevalo and Pavic winning 7-5 in the third. Did that result surprise you that they got revenge, or was that kind of up in the air for you?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say surprised me. I didn't pick it. I thought Granollers and Zeballos were going to beat them again. I mean, maybe if I remember correctly, I think the Rome final was pretty lopsided.
It's definitely straight sets,
And
yes.
yeah, and for whatever reason, Granollers and Zeballos are having trouble getting over that hump in the Grand Slams, and they're both great guys. I'd love to see them win one, but they are, I think, as a team 0-3 in Grand Slam finals, and they always are consistently making deep runs and just can't get over that hump. But overall, no, that didn't surprise me, but it was, I would call it a minor upset, I guess, because I did pick Granollers and Zeballos in that one.
Yeah, because like as you mentioned, they're constantly making deep runs, and they made the semi-finals last year, which has meant that they've dropped the points, and well, they haven't gained any points, which has left Matthew Ebden as the world number 1. Do you think that has much bearing on anything, or as the top team, do you think it's kind of still the same?
I don't think they think too much about it. Most of the players I talk to say, reaching that world number 1 is nice to have, especially, if it happens for the first time for you, which I think for Zeballos several weeks ago, it was the first time for him to reach number one.
Yeah.
So it's something nice to have on the resume, but I don't think they think too much about it. You still have to go out and play good doubles. I mean, the landscape of the men's side especially is just so competitive, especially with some of the singles players who enter the draw and you don't know what you're going to get. It's harder to game plan against some of those singles guys. They're playing very free and loose and going for things that they might not on the singles court because they're almost using it as a warm-up match at times. So it's very difficult on the mid side. I would say, more difficult to consistently make deep Grand Slam runs than it is on the women's side, which makes Granollers and Zeballos that much more impressive that they're able to um, seemingly reach at least the quarters, if not the semis, of almost every Grand Slam that they enter.
And in the final, Arevalo and Pavic did beat Simone Bolelli and Andrea Vavasori. This was kind of a more straightforward match, the semi-final. Did you enjoy the final? Did you think it was a good final?
Yeah, I thought the quality was really good. I watched it the first set from home and then went to a coffee shop and got some work done and had it on as well. Wasn't able to get a whole lot of work done, but they broke very late in the first set, so it was very tight. I think through the first 10 games up to 5-all, there was zero, maybe one chance to break. So really good execution by the serve teams. And then at the end of the sets, it seemed like just a lapse in focus from the Italians. They were up, I believe, 40-love in the game that they got broken on their own serve and lost several points in a row, 3 points in a row to get it to deuce. And then ultimately lost that set. And then they had an early break in the second set as well. And then could not hang on to that. But Arevalo, he obviously this is his second Roland Garros title, and he's had a lot of success on clay. And I think his style just um, does well. It translates well to the surface because he is one of those players who does serve and stay back. He's able to get a little bit more time, especially on his forehand from the ad court, and really dictate with that shot, which is such a big weapon. It's almost, he doesn't hit it the same as Jack Sock does, but it's a similar sort of weapon, right? When Jack Sock used to play a lot of doubles, when he was at the top of the doubles game, if you saw him setting up for a forehand from the ad court, even if both players are at the net, you're in a very difficult position if he's balanced and hitting that forehand because he can go sharp angle inside out. He can rip through the middle. He can go down the line. And it's just a very difficult ball to handle. And Arevalo's inside out forehand, inside in forehand from that ad court is really really powerful and a huge weapon that I think was one aspect that allowed them to continue to play well and win that second set 6-3. Both he and Pavic returned really well. Also, they had a lot of really solid return winners in the games and the points that really mattered most.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Arevalo, obviously the champion at Roland Garros again. I suppose from my perspective, it's nice to see nations that aren't necessarily as much in the singles quarter. El Salvador he's from, and it's nice to see some different nations being represented in doubles that wouldn't necessarily get the chance in singles.
hmm Yeah, it's really cool. I know I'm hoping to chat with him next week on my podcast. I've been messaging back and forth with him, and I want to ask him more about that because I know he's, the best tennis player from his country, which is super cool, and it makes you obviously a pretty big athlete or a big star in your country for some of those smaller countries like that don't have as many kind of global athletes or global stars, if you will. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it's great to see. It's a great way to grow the sport in some of those smaller countries. A lot of times you might see somebody like Arevalo do well from a smaller country like that. And then in maybe 10, 15 years, we start to see more El Salvadorians playing tennis and coming through the ranks. Who knows? So, yeah, just very cool to see overall.
Yeah, and I believe that's something he's quite proud of. I think he was holding the Salvadorian flag on the court after the title win. You
Hmm.
mentioned singles players obviously playing doubles slightly differently. I suppose a singles player playing with his brother, who had a decent run at Roland Garros this year, is Stefanos Tsitsipas with his brother Petros, achieving
Hmm.
their best result at a Grand Slam by reaching the quarterfinals. Um, were you impressed with them? They're obviously defending champions Donic and Krajcek in the second round, I believe.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that was one of those scenarios where I didn't get to watch the match. I was actually out of town the first week of the tournament, but when you're playing Stefanos, and I've had a chance to watch him play doubles a few times in person at this point, and uh, you know, when you're playing a singles player like that, he can sort of take the racket out of your hand a little bit if he's serving well and returning well. Um, and Petros has improved the past several years, so it was definitely a surprising result. I think if they play Dodik and Krajcek 10 times, they maybe only win, one or two of those matches. But uh, obviously, they've got the firepower to be able to do it. And yeah, they had a nice little run into the quarters where they faced Arivalo and Pavic and lost in straight sets there.
I believe that's in pretty good stead in terms of Olympic qualifications. So it'll be interesting to see if they can showcase that again at Roland Garros in the Olympics.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw a lot of kind of Olympic pairings throughout the clay season. So you saw Rajiv Ram and Joe Salisbury split for a time. I think Joe played a tournament with Neil Skupski. Rajiv played with Austin Krajcek, I believe, for a tournament as well. Um, there was a few other teams that had kind of split for like a week or two just to pair up with their um, fellow countrymen to get ready for the clay court Olympics. So it'll be a fun story to watch and see what happens with that.
Yes, definitely. And as we move on to the women's doubles, which was won by Coco Gauff and Katerina Siniakova, um, Gauff's first doubles title, becoming the youngest player to win both a Grand Slam in doubles and singles since, I believe, Kuznetsova in 2005. And Siniakova's a bit more has had more success over the years in Grand Slam doubles, winning this her third Roland Garros title, first with Gauff, with her two previous coming with Krejcikova. Obviously, it's a bit of a scratch pairing because Gauff had been previously, but with Pegula, who'd been injured, and Siniakova was teaming up with Hunter this year, who'd got a serious injury. I mean,
Hmm.
how impressed with you? How impressed were you with their teamwork in just a first title tournament together?
Yeah, I think I read that they paired up like 2 hours before the deadline. I don't know if that's true. I think I just read it on Twitter. So uh, people listening will have to fact check me on that. But regardless, it was a pairing that was surprising. I don't think anybody kind of saw that coming or planned. There was no reason to expect them to play together. Uh, but yeah, with Pagula out, with Storm Hunter out for probably I would imagine the full season at this point. Um, yeah, when you saw them in the draw, you knew they would be a threat. Siniakova and basically anybody is a threat. And when you pair her with somebody as athletic and with as much firepower as Coco, it's going to be a difficult out. So yeah, it was not surprising to see them go through and win the tournament. It was cool to see for Coco. This was her third Grand Slam doubles final. She made the U.S. Open previously with Katie McNally, and then made the Roland Garros final with Jessica Pegula previously as well. So it was cool to see her get one. And then I was looking earlier at Siniakova. This is her eighth, her first one without Krejcikova, and she's won actually six finals in a row. So she's 8-2 in major finals on the doubles court and won 6 in a row. So just really, if you're looking at like the best women's doubles player over the last 5 years, it's hard not to say Shea Sue, but Siniakova probably is right at the top with her. She seems to win, regardless of Grand Slam or not. She seems to win so many tournaments with so many different partners. I remember I think it was 2022, she won like 6 titles with 4 different partners or something like that. So it's just really impressive how she's able to adjust her game to her partner on the doubles court.
Yeah, I mean it's so impressive. It's like you mentioned Pavic, 4 different partners, 4 Grand Slam titles, and it's
Hmm.
Siniakova is the same. Just the best doubles players can play with anyone and adapt their game to any partner. And I think, as you mentioned, this was kind of a last minute pairing. I did read somewhere that Gauff was supposed to play with Townsend, but Townsend has come to a sort of a late injury and decided.
Okay, got it.
This
Yeah,
was
I didn't see that.
the final was between Gauff and Siniakova, and they beat Paolini, the Italian pairing of Paolini and Sara Errani. Obviously, everyone knows about Paolini's run to the singles final, but this doubles final's kind of been coming for Paolini and Errani. He also won the Rome title.
Hmm. Yeah, they already have. They won Rome, and there was one other title they won this year as well. I believe that like February, one of those indoor 500 tournaments. Um, and yeah, I mean they're a good team. A lot of people I think were surprised to see them in the final, but they shouldn't have been. They've been a good team all year. Irani obviously has multiple Grand Slam titles, so she's an excellent doubles player. And Paolini's playing fantastic on the singles and doubles court, obviously. So yeah, it wasn't surprising. The draw kind of opened up um, for them and for really a lot of teams. There was 0 top 4 seeds in the quarterfinals. The 3rd seed withdrew before the tournament, so that was Demi Shores and Luisa Stefani. So there was really only 3 top 4 seeds in the tournament, but yeah, it kind of opened up. Shea and Mertens lost second round in straight sets, 6-2, 6-4 to Navarro and Schneider. Um, and yeah, a lot of the other top pairings, Milicar Martinez and Perez lost in the 3rd round. Krejcikova and Siegemund were the 4 seed. You would expect them to make a deep run on clay, and they lost in the 3rd round as well. So a lot of the top teams fell in the 3rd round or earlier, and I think that kind of opened it up for the teams that we saw have success and make deep runs.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Shea Siwei and Elise Mertens' surprise loss. I mean, that must be, from my perspective, it must be. I don't know how you see it, but is that the biggest shock in the Roland Garros doubles this year?
Um, Maybe it's hard to say because Shea and Mertens historically have been a better grass court team and then hard court team as well. Obviously, Shea won Roland Garros last year, but that was with a different partner. Um, so I don't think as a team this is their favorite surface. Their results throughout the clay season were, um, I think, by their standards, pretty mediocre. I think they made a 1 or 2 semifinals and a quarterfinals, um, which for them is not great. It certainly isn't as strong as what their results were earlier in the year through the hard court season. Um, so the way they lost, I think, was surprising, to lose in straight sets like that. But if you had told me at the end of the tournament that they got upset early, I wouldn't have been totally shocked. Not in the way that I was last year when Siniakova and Krejcikova lost first round. That one I think was more surprising to me.
Yeah, Zainab in the chat is actually saying it was Siniakova who was partner with Townsend, not Goff. So it's just I got a bit middle around there. And Ghost in
Mm.
the chat is asking about Kostic and Rose reaching the semis. Did you think that was a surprise?
No, so they've had a few runs. Oh, I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like I've seen them deep in some draws, uh, in several doubles draws over the last year or so.
Yeah,
Um,
Zainab is also in the chat, is clearly the one helping me out here. Is
yeah,
they reached the semis in Australia as well, so they've been quite consistent with the Grand Slams on the doubles court so far in
yeah,
2024.
yeah, they've done well. It looks like in Australia, it says Kostyuk played with Katarzyna Kava this year. Maybe that was Australia last year.
Right,
Because yeah, I do think that I've seen them deep in a few draws
right,
on
yeah,
the doubles side.
yeah, last year, yeah,
Yeah, yep, yep. Okay. So yeah, not a total shock. And again, I think one of the things that helped with all of this is the draw kind of opening up and some of the
yeah,
teams that you would expect to go deep, um, losing losing a little bit earlier than you had planned on, and they were in that section with the three seeds, Demi Shores and Luisa Stefani. So they just didn't have a top four seed in their section.
yeah. And I don't think it's particularly relevant, but with Shea and Mertens losing early, obviously Shea was the defending champion, so they have now swapped places in the rankings, and Mertens is back at number one. But when they're
Hmm.
teammates, it's not particularly a big deal, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I mean like I said, that when I talk to the players, they don't really put a whole lot of weight on that unless maybe it's the first time that they're number one, which for Elise Mertens it is not
No,
her first time being number one in doubles.
no, and with mixed doubles, obviously there's no rankings involved in that, but we had some familiar champions at least at Grand Slam level with Laura Siegemund and Edouard Roger Vasselin being the champions.
Hmm.
It was their first tournament together. Um, Siegmund's second mixed doubles Grand Slam, but first, I think, since 2016. So 8 years since the last mixed doubles Grand Slam, and it's Roger Vasselin's first mixed doubles Grand Slam. He's won, I think, Roland Garros in men's doubles, but never mixed.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Siegmund is somebody who is still playing a little bit of singles, and I think if she just I spoke with her at the WTA finals last year, and I think at the beginning, she said at the beginning of last year, she had planned on focusing on doubles more, but she had a couple of really good singles results to continue, um, extend her singles career, if you will. And uh, I think once she does step away from singles and focuses on doubles, I think we'll see her consistently at the top of women's and mixed doubles, at the top of the game, because she's such a great mover at the net, and such a smart doubles player. She seems to have really all of the shots. Um, so yeah, it wasn't surprising to see them go through and win the title. Um, Kravchuk and Skupski make another Grand Slam final, the second of the year. In the semifinal, they got a little bit of revenge against Shea Sue and Zelensky, which was a rematch of the Australian Open final, um, winning that in a third set. But it's yeah, super impressive, especially what Des has been able to do. She's made, I don't know, 7, maybe 8 Grand Slam finals at this point and has 4 or 5 titles. She's just always seems to be making deep runs in the mixed, and it's something that, um, yeah, I guess some players just have a game style that just translates better to mixed for whatever reason.
Yeah, I suppose you could argue that they'd be disappointed to lose two consecutive Grand Slam finals, or would you go down the route of saying they'd be more hungry to ahead of Wimbledon, which is obviously the slam that they've won twice together. I'm not sure if they're actually going to play together, but if they do decide to play that, that is the slam that they have had their most
Yeah.
success.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine it's disappointing to finish second twice, but it's better than not making the final at all, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I hope they do team up for Wimbledon, because they're a fun pairing to watch, and um, it helps get mixed doubles a little bit more exposure, which is nice. A lot of people, including Hamlin, who wasn't able to join us today, have written articles on Dez's dominance on the mixed doubles court. If there is such a thing, since there's only 4 mixed tournaments a year. Uh, but yeah, I think it's great that they're able to have this sort of success on a consistent basis, and really good for the sport as well.
And the mixed doubles draw did get quite a lot of attention when Paolo Mendoza and Stefanos Tsitsipas entered the draw, but I don't know if it was scheduling, fitness, or whatever, but they decided to withdraw and actually get a walkover to their opponents. Is this something you're hoping to see at Wimbledon, or are you kind of like just it's been twice now? I think they're withdrawn from a Grand Slam mixed doubles draw.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him play. If the options are like have them enter and play, or have them just not even enter, I'd rather just have them not enter. I don't like this entering and then backing out last minute. I'm not a huge fan of that, regardless of the draw. Really, you see it in the men's and women's doubles as well, especially the men's. But even in the women's doubles, Andreeva withdrew with Zvonareva in the quarters, giving Kostyuk and Rus, a path to the semis this year. So yeah, it's something that I know. I've spoken with Matt Ebden about this on my podcast, and they recently did some of those changes in Madrid to the doubles draw, and it's something that they're keeping an eye on, and they're trying to find ways to kind of mitigate the withdrawals in not only the mixed but the men's and women's as well.
Yeah, we don't want to see too many withdrawals. I suppose a lot of people are asking in the chat, particularly Ghost, talking about the Olympics. Obviously, it's even more key to Roland Garros this year with it being held on the same courts in Paris later this year. It's just interesting to note that none of the champions are from the same nation. You've got 2 runners-up, both Italian, which obviously had a great Roland Garros tournament. You've got Bolelli and Vavasori and Irani and Paolini. Do you think they'd be see that as a good opportunity to sort of take it that step further at the Olympics later this year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but Bolelli and Vavasori have had a great year, regardless of surface. They made the finals in Australia, and made a deep run at Indian Wells. So yeah, I mean, they've been one of the top teams this year, throughout the season. So this wasn't some kind of surprising result to see them get to the final. So yeah, I think it would be surprising if they didn't, make at least the quarters of the Olympics. And then, like I said, same for Irani and Paolini. They're definitely going to be one of the top threats in Paris for sure.
And obviously, there's been a big announcement today about a certain Spanish pairing between Carlos Alcaraz and Rafael Nadal. How excited are you for that going into the Olympics?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's so good for doubles. It's going to be good for tennis. It's going to be great for the Olympics. Yeah, that's going to be must see TV. I think it's going to be really fun to watch Nadal play doubles, as it always is. He's definitely an underrated doubles player, underrated volleyer. And yeah, it'd be great to see them make a run. It really would. And I think they can, just because, obviously Nadal's fitness level isn't there necessarily, or health there for singles, but for doubles, obviously you can get away with a little bit less fitness, and kind of hide some shots and not have to move quite as much. So hopefully they put everything they have into it, and try to really make a deep run. But I think it's going to be amazing. The coverage around it, and the match in tennis itself.
Yeah, I think it always makes the doubles tournament even more exciting than the singles for the Olympics this year. And also, the crowd will be right behind them. And also, Nadal knows how to win a gold at the Olympics in doubles, having won gold in Rio with Mark Lopez. So he could do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be super fun to watch. I'm very, very excited for that.
I'm just wondering if there's any other pairings either you're looking forward to seeing together or would like to see go together out of the Olympics.
Yeah, I haven't had time to sit down and look at all the potential Olympic pairings. I've seen on Twitter a few people have put together their kind of forecast or what they think. Um, so yeah, I'm really not sure at this point. Again, there's going to be a lot of pairings like the Italians that we saw on the men's and women's side that we've seen before, and then there will be some interesting new pairings as well. Right? We talked about how good Desiree Kravchuk has been at mixed doubles, but that's been with a British player. So Skupski and then Joe Salisbury and her have had some success. So who is she going to pair with in mixed if the U.S. does decide to put her on the team? I think she's at 11 in the women's rankings right now, so just outside the top 10 behind Melikar Martinez. So it'll be interesting to see what each country decides to do, and then also what stars decide to play multiple events as well versus just focusing on singles. I know Andy Murray recently said he would like to play doubles and probably wouldn't play just singles. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I saw those comments from Murray. Obviously, Murray, a two-time singles gold medalist and silver medalist in mixed doubles. um,
Mhm.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. He's teaming up with his brother Jamie at Wimbledon this year, and I mean, unfortunately, Jamie, I don't think is high enough ranked to qualify for the Olympics.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think so.
But yeah, I think we've kind of covered everything about Roland Garros this year. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to any opinions or any sort of insights you want to add.
No, not really. I'm excited to watch the kind of the race the rest of the season. I think it's something that is the race to the year-end finals is something that in singles, maybe it doesn't get as much coverage because you're just playing by yourself each week, right? Whereas
Yeah,
in doubles, if you have a partner who's injured for a tournament, you're not getting points towards the race for that tournament, right? So like Siniakova is in the top 8 with 2 different partners right now, one of which is out for the season, so they're definitely not going to stay in the top 8. Another is Coco Gauff, who I don't think that she'll keep playing with, but who knows? Maybe they'll play 2 or 3 more tournaments and try to make the year-end finals. Um, so yeah, keeping an eye on the ATP and WTA race to the year-end finals is always really fun to watch throughout the rest of the summer. So I would encourage people to do that as they kind of follow the draws and follow the doubles tours.
yeah, I suppose that's what happened to Shea Suwei last year because she had so many different partners and so much success with different partners,
Yeah,
but not one consistent partner. But yeah,
right.
it's great to talk to you, and thanks for coming on and talking everything Roland Garros this year in the doubles.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Cheers. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.